we actually, by the way, we're going to talk about some of the stuff that's been happening in the episode, so if you're not caught up, there will be spoilers.
Sorry about your luck.
Some guy sent me a thing on Twitter, man, because we talked about what happened at the end of Godfather 2, and I'm like, he was like, thanks for spoiling, hashtag not really thanking you. And I'm like, if you haven't watched a movie in 38 years, suck it. So we're going to talk about stuff that's happened in Walking Dead. Totally did not see the Sophia storyline ending that way. Totally did not see that. Now in Talking Dead, we have that creepy Sophia Barnyard set piece. But Norman, that storyline in particular was super dense for Daryl, and I feel like what we're kind of seeing happen in these last 2 episodes is him really trying to come to grips with that. Like, it seemed like he was opening up and kind of being cool and being part of the group, and it just seems like he's all shut off again.
Yeah, that was a big deal, losing Sophia. I think Daryl has a storyline that he was an abused kid and he was left in the woods himself, and I think finding Sophia would clear up a lot of the ghosts in his closet, so to speak. So yeah, he's kind of pulling away at this point.
Every time I see you and Carol there, I'm like, this is the episode we're going to make out. Like, it looks like...
I would have cut her ear off at some point.
You rip her ear off and put it on the necklace?
Yeah. I just want Melissa to walk around with no ear.
But not explain it.
Yeah.
Where's your ear? It's right here. So, do you feel like... I mean, you know things that are going to happen that we don't know, but without giving anything away... What do you think? What can you say? Do you think is going on between your character and her character?
Well, I mean, shipping. Yeah. I think damaged people gravitate towards damaged people, and she and I are a lot alike our characters. There's a lot of abuse, and yeah, I think he finds validation in other ways. I don't think he needs to. I think that's sort of the last thing on his mind. But I don't know. It's a zombie apocalypse, so it's every fat for yourself.
So you're already working on season 3, season 2 for you.
That's in the rearview mirror.
It's totally in the rearview mirror.
Don't ask me any questions. I don't even remember it.
You remember?
I know. I'm
going.
I will say this. I believe everyone agrees that the 2 episodes since we've come back have been pretty awesome. I think my 2 fellow Walking Dead showmakers can attest that they really haven't seen anything yet, right? Like, the stuff coming up is so much crazier.
It's all fireworks.
Yeah, it's
Fireworks and car bombs.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot more pharmacy sex and more shelf zombie killing and motorcycle riding and handsome being.
They stumble into a zombie Chinatown and buy fireworks.
It's true. It's going to be great. But anyway, did you have a question in this?
No. I know that people who are in the Talking Dead office who've seen, I don't watch ahead, because I feel like people take for granted now where you can just watch anything all at once, and I really like week to week looking forward to each episode.
Have you watched tomorrow's episode?
I haven't yet. I know. Well, there's no DVD player in the hotel room, so but I haven't. But I just haven't been able to
Next year we'll do this in a different hotel just for you.
Yeah, please.
Hotel
I need a DVD player. My life is hard. It's really hard, you guys. How am I supposed to watch it? Just when people from the Talking Dead come in, they're like, oh my god, you have no idea what's going to happen on the end of the day. That's exactly what I said. No, these are cynical writers. And they said they can't believe some of the stuff that's coming up on the episode. Is there anything that you can tease for the next 4 episodes?
I tell you, tomorrow night's episode is going to be a pretty big blowout. There's a little bit of fisticuffs going on between someone whose first name starts with an R and someone else whose first name starts with an S. So it's going to be pretty explosive. And then from there, there's just a whole lot of crazy coming. I honestly can't spoil anything. I don't know. There's a lot of big stuff coming.
I think I've been fascinated to watch Laurie's character in the television show, which I think is very different from comic book Laurie, because just that episode where she's literally pushing what you think is Shane's developing baby onto Rick's back while going, he's poisoning the group. I mean, she's totally getting into that male brain, being like, he had sex with me, and now he's trying to tell me what, you know, and she's totally manipulating him. But I feel like I see a lot of people who aren't as alpha as Rick and Shane. Like, I think Dale's doing the same thing. He's Mr. Passive-Aggressive Manipulator. So how do you see their characters in terms of, I feel like there's a lot of different people fighting for control of the group in different ways.
I think it's really at the core, but I think everybody is just terrified, and I think that that's manifesting in different ways. I think that Lori had just had that car wreck and had just had that confrontation with Shane and had just experienced another moment where Rick was not there for her.
Yeah.
And I think that she was trying to activate him to a certain extent to kind of fix the problems that she was perceiving. And I think that all of that comes from fear. I think that everything that Shane does that seems to be somewhat dark. Are they making fun of me? What are you doing? Pay attention, guys. But I think it all comes from the fact that everyone is terrified. I think that Dale doing all the things that he's doing it's because he's scared, and that's what this world is. Everyone is terrified of everything around them and trying to make sense of it all and figuring out how they're going to live. And it's got them interacting with each other in really different ways.
Yeah. Now we're starting to see them interacting with other people, like that sort of rogue group, where, we talked about this a little bit on the show, where Glenn Mazzara said they cast that Michael Raymond James is a fairly recognizable actor. So then you go, oh, that guy's probably going to be a character now, and then blam! And he said you guys sort of did that on purpose, just to throw people off the trail a little bit.
Yeah, that was something that the writers' room, I think it was Glenn Mazzara and Evan Riley who wrote that episode, really pushed for. They wanted that guy to have weight, and they wanted it to be, really memorable scene. And I think having an actor of that caliber come in to do such a small role is very important, because that scene in particular was really the first time that they've ever had any kind of really dangerous interaction with another human being. When they encountered the Vatos in the first season, they actually kind of figured out that they were all going to be able to work together and all that kind of nonsense. So this was really the episode where you see that, like the comic book series, the zombies are eventually going to be a manageable threat, and it's going to be the other people in this world that they're really going to have to look out for. And is Rick going to be prepared to handle that? Oh, by the way, he is.
Right.
So it's a very important scene.
I'm curious about Daryl's character. Do you think he would be satisfied just to go live in the woods by himself forever? Or do you think some part of him needs other people?
I think he likes being around other people. I think now that he's not under the thumb of his brother and whatever style of life that was before, he's starting to feel good about having interaction with other people for the first time. It's kind of like his coming out party in a weird way.
Yeah.
He's starting to have relationships for the first time. So I think it's interesting to watch someone who can't communicate and forced to communicate.
I kind of like seeing him do that little kid thing where he's just far enough. He's staying just far enough outside the group to be like, I don't need you guys. Just make sure you can hear me. That I don't need you.
And that last scene with he and Carol, he's like, you don't have anybody left. You don't have a husband. You don't have a daughter. He's basically saying all that shit to himself.
Yeah.
He could be saying all those lines and he's changing up. He's saying things. He's starting to learn about himself, which is super interesting to watch.
Yeah. Do you think Glenn's character? Do you think he really could resist being with Maggie if it meant like we need to survive? I can't be in love. I can't have these emotional ties to anyone.
Like I said about messing up this thing. It really is. I guess to anyone living in that situation, like like coming from an outside perspective, like someone who's watching the show, it could seem like, well, dude, it's sex and love. Like, why wouldn't you?
Right.
Why would you even think the other way? I think it's, I think if you look at Glenn's past, which is, he's a pizza delivery guy, it seemed like he didn't have much going for him, and I think it was that made him see that this new situation where the world is almost ending, he can make something of himself. He can be the hero that he couldn't be before.
You can be our hero. You want to write that into the show and singing that song? I give you permission to take my idea.
Sex.
Yes.
And so, he that was his thing. He was like, I'm gonna risk my life because if I go out and I die, then I die a martyr and a hero, and I can live with myself saying that that's what I did for the world.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have other things to live for. I mean, he doesn't know if his family's still alive. So for him, he's just grasping on whatever's around him and being fulfilled by helping the other person next to him. And then now that he does have that back, he has to battle with himself of whether is he a hero that he wants to be, or is he a wuss? Is he a normal person? Is he going to give into the world that's chaotic? Like, what's he going to? It's just tons of things going on in his head. So I feel like he's magpie. Yeah. That too. But yeah, I mean, I think there's so much going on in his head. It's going to be interesting to see where he goes from here.
Why, in this situation, what is it that you think that makes these characters not give up? Like, what makes them go? When every external sign seems to be like, there's really no hope and most everyone's dead. What keeps these people going?
I think maybe that's just human nature. I mean, human nature is to just survive, regardless if you're barely surviving. You still do it, and there are those people that sometimes don't, and they just eat it. And I think that's what's powerful about the show too, is that it's a glimpse into the whole world right now feels like it doesn't feel like it's going to end, but everybody's all scared about 2012, or there's a whole financial crisis and stuff like that. And I think this show embodies the idea of being able to see what it would be like if all those things that we're afraid of happened. And it's nice to fantasize about, what would you do and identify with which character? Like, would you go like Shane's route and go ballistic? Would you go Rick, try to keep society alive? Would you go like Glenn, where you're confused and you don't know what's going to happen? Would you go like Daryl and eat squirrels?
Damn squirrel eaters. It sounds like it's squirrels. And also sort of challenging the idea of like the Herschel's character, challenging the idea of spirituality and what does it all mean? And then like the first episode back, just that powerful moment of him going, I can't believe what an idiot I was. They were dead so long ago, and I just didn't see it. Is he just completely spiritually bankrupt now? Do you think, or do you think he'll get back on this?
He's at least spiritually taking a break right now, so we'll see where all that goes. I mean, it's going to be really interesting seeing what Herschel does over these next few episodes, because he has been in a very well-defined role thus far in the show, and the Bard incident and Sophia being in there, and having to finally deal with the death of his wife, which is something he's been kind of putting off to a certain extent, is really going to inform his actions moving into these next few episodes. And I think you're going to see him doing some interesting stuff. I think Dave Navarro will probably not be so excited to have him die after he sees this.
Yeah, that was kind of weird that he wouldn't let that go. He was kept going.
That's a Talking Dead inside joke for everybody.